The Pittsburgh Steelers have been named a top option, a landing spot for a very, very intriguing name at the quarterback position in 2024. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackpine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/all Steelers talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're dealing with a bit of a quarterback controversy right now. Mason Rudolph has been named the starter in Week 17. The Pittsburgh Steelers are saying Kenny Pickett is not healthy enough to go yet. Kenny Pickett speaks yesterday and says, well, I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm ready to go. Doesn't really lash out or anything, but makes the comment that if it was up to him, he'd be on the field. It sparks a little bit of something. I don't want to say it sparked some concern. I don't want to say it sparked some drama because it didn't do any of that, but it certainly got in your head a little bit. Who's making the call that Kenny Pickett is not quite there and that the Pittsburgh Steelers are rolling with Mason Rudolph, which just opens the door even more for the floodgates that is the quarterback in 2024, the questions surrounding it, the ideas, and, well, all of the opinions about who should be the Steelers' QB1 next season. And then the Denver Broncos decided they were going to make things just a little bit more interesting, toss another name out there for everybody, and all those quarterback needy teams can suddenly start talking about another name, a superstar name, a quarterback that has won a Super Bowl in the past. At one time, very recently, I would say, considered one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, maybe still is, depending on who you're asking. That name is Russell Wilson. If you haven't heard, the Denver Broncos, they have decided to bench Russ for the rest of the regular season, the final 2 games, even though that their playoff hopes are still alive. Why? To save themselves $37 million in injury guarantees next year, which provides them some financial flexibility, not much, as they're going to take on a massive cap hit no matter what. And according to multiple sources, multiple insiders around the league, the Denver Broncos plan is for Russell Wilson to be gone in 2024. And that means that they're going to take on somewhere in the ballpark of $86 million in dead cap. It is probably the worst financial move the NFL has seen to date until Deshaun Watson works or doesn't work out for the Cleveland Browns. But Russ will be a free agent in the spring. At least that's the expectation. And where is he going to go? Everybody's saying Pittsburgh. And they're talking about, oh, it makes so much sense. He's got wide receivers in Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. He's got a running game in Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. Why wouldn't Russell Wilson want to come to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Him and Mike Tomlin, that's pretty much another Pete Carroll. That works. Russ could have control of the offense. He could be the best quarterback option the Pittsburgh Steelers have. Everybody's tossing it all out there. The Pittsburgh Steelers need a quarterback. They're still in contention for the playoff. They have a great head coach. They have great weapons around the offense, and their offensive line, when it is alive. But if you sign Russell Wilson, you no longer have to worry about drafting a quarterback. Therefore, you could use those draft picks other places, build your offensive line more, maybe add more weapons to the offense, work on the defense. Gives you flexibility. That's everybody's thought process. And what it means is, Kenny, it's done. Russ, he's coming to town, right? I'm a firm believer that the Pittsburgh Steelers should bring in some competition for Kenny Pickett. I'm probably a more firm believer that Mason Rudolph, depending on these last 2 games, should be considered as a candidate for the starting quarterback job in 2024 if he plays well. Really, all around, it's pretty simple. I'm not totally sold that Kenny is the guy, and until I am sold that somebody is the guy, the Steelers have to continue to try and find that guy. Now, that being said, the NFL is an instant gratitude league. Mason Rudolph said it the other day, and it hit deep, home, whatever you want to say. maybe Kenny Pickett does need a little bit more time to develop, and maybe he does need an offensive coordinator that is capable of actually drawing up schemes and plays and making things work for an offensive group. Maybe that is the case. But for right now, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and you're thinking we are trying to compete for a Super Bowl next season, we are trying to win a playoff game, we are trying to be a team that is back to where Pittsburgh Steelers football should be, you bring in another quarterback, you don't even question it. You have some healthy competition, and whoever the best quarterback is, they walk out the winner, and that's it. Because at the end of the day, Matt Canada wasn't forcing Kenny Pickett to miss open receivers or look just nervous at all times in the pocket and like he was constantly uncomfortable, even in moments where you shouldn't be uncomfortable. Nobody, not even Matt Canada, made Mason Rudolph look better than Kenny Pickett. It's just the truth. And maybe Kenny Pickett develops into something good. Maybe he is the quarterback of the future. Maybe he proves everybody, including myself, wrong. Possibly. But the Steelers should bring in somebody else. That somebody shouldn't be Russell Wilson. He's 35 years old. He's going to be looking for a boatload of money again. He still believes he's a superstar. There are going to be teams that are going to look at him like a superstar. They are going to be willing to take a chance on a guy who completed 66% of his passes this year, had 26 touchdowns, had just over 3,000 yards, led his team from a 1-5 start to a 7-8 finish before he was benched, and was on a 6-1 run prior to a 2-game losing streak that seemingly ended his season. Meanwhile, reports claim that he knew he was going to get benched for a month, still went out there, balled out for the Denver Broncos, and did everything he possibly could to keep their season alive. That looks pretty good in Russell Wilson. And it looks like a guy that teams are going to want and that they're going to compete for and that they're going to make offers for. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, I get it that it's a flashy name, and I get it that there will be some people that are saying this is the best option. He's better than a second or a third round rookie. You go get somebody who's proven. I just don't agree. I look at Russell Wilson and I say he's a 35-year-old who has question marks, who, yeah, he plays well, but there's so much that comes with Russell Wilson that maybe you don't want to be involved in. And leadership-wise, he's probably a great leader to a degree, but on the other side of this, there's all that talk about the weird stuff on the plane and having your own office and doing this and doing that. And maybe Russell Wilson's ego is a bit too much, a bit too high for a team that is already dealing with plenty of drama throughout the season. So much drama. Maybe Russell Wilson doesn't fit character-wise in a team that is trying to rebuild and regroup whatever culture they lost in 2023. I just don't think it works. I think that a second round, a third round rookie, I think that a name like maybe Jacoby Brissett or, I don't know, Joe Flacco, if you want to really go old, makes a little bit more sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Somebody who is, to a degree, proven, or if in Joe Flacco's case, certainly proven, who can be a leader, who can step in here and compete, who isn't guaranteed anything, who isn't going to come with a giant price tag, who just makes life a little bit better without making it better but more complicated, which is what Russell Wilson would do if he signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I get it, a flashy name. I get it. Any quarterback that hits the open market from now until April will be a landing spot for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is just the truth. When you have a quarterback situation like the Pittsburgh Steelers do, with weapons like George Pickens and Deontay Johnson and Jaylen Warren and Pat Freiermuth and Calvin Austin and Najee Harris, everybody, and I mean everybody, is going to be an option for this team. And everybody is going to talk about how that person should go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It makes so much sense to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It doesn't mean that it's the right call from the Pittsburgh Steelers end. And in this case, unless Russ is sitting around saying, I'll take a very minimal deal because I'm about to make a ton of money either way, I just don't think that this one makes sense. And I don't agree that Russell Wilson's best option, or the Pittsburgh Steelers' best option, is Russell Wilson.